Hi, I'm Callum from Tyne Valley Motorhomes, and this is a handover of the Dethleffs Globe 4. So as we start the walk around on the driver's side of the motorhome first, the first point you get to is your habitation door. So using the Dethleffs key, you'll be able to lock and unlock the door. The step switch can be found just inside the door here, so you can retract the step. Always retract it before you start the engine, because as this is a Continental vehicle, it will just buzz and you will have to knock the engine off, put the step back in and start back up. So just make sure you put your step away before you start your engine. Mains 230 volt hookup point. So this is your charging point and your mains connection on the vehicle. So whether you're charging that at home prior to your trip, or to maintain the batteries over the winter, or if you're on site, it'll be the same procedure. So get your hookup lead, lift the collar, hook it to the vehicle first, then to the site or to your house if you're charging it on the driveway, just so that you're not walking around with a live lead, and do it in reverse when unhooking. 2 fridge vents, your awning light, and you've got your awning canopy above there, your Fiamma zip, F45. This is your flue, which allows the fumes out the space heater and water heater when operating on gas. This heating system on this vehicle operates on both electric and gas, but it's only for gas you'll get your fumes out of here, as it's an exhaust point. So just make sure that's always obstruction free, and if you are putting an awning on the side, an enclosed awning, make sure it's not up against the flue. Make sure it's away from the flue so it doesn't melt or cause any damage to the canvas on your awning. At the back of the van, you do have your garage area, which has a lift up bunk bed. So you can lift the bunk bed up, it's on a gas strut, and it clips into place at the top there, so you just need to push it until it clips right in, pull this down to bring it back down, and it gives you a garage area. Toolkits in here, which includes a jack, a brace and a tone eye. You've got eyelets which move along the 2 rails on either side of the garage, so if you want to tie anything down, you can, and you've just got to loosen them off, move them and tighten them back up. Access both sides, as well as the window at the back with blackout blind and fly screen, but do just be careful with the bike rack on the back of the vehicle. Coming to the back, high level brake light, reversing camera, bike rack. So this takes 3 bikes, this bike rack. So all you need to do, once you take this connection off here, pull this down. 3 bikes on the rails. These move so they go through the spokes of the bike and tie the wheel to the rail. Then you'd put the arms onto the crossbar to hold the top of the bike. Have the handlebars the opposite ways, so one bike handlebars that way, then the other this way, just so you get them all on. Otherwise, if you have all the handlebars facing one way, you'll not fit all bikes on the bike rack. Coming round to the passenger side, you do have access to your garage this side. This door's slimmer and longer. Using the habitation key, which is the Dethleffs key, which opens the door, opens all the locks on the outside of the motorhome, including the garage and the toilet and the gas. To open the toilet cassette door, once you've loosened the lock off, push in both catches to release the door, and then you've got your cassette cartridge in there. To release the cartridge, lift the yellow tab up and slide the cassette out of the vehicle. You can then carry it to your waste disposal point, which is beside your toilet block on most sites. Take the yellow cap off the top and pop that to one side. Tip out the contents of the cassette, and as you're tipping, press the yellow button at the back, which just allows a bit of air in and stops it glugging, gives it a consistent flow so it empties quicker. Empty it out, There's always a tap beside it, so put a little bit of water in, put the cap back on, give it a rinse, tip out again. And then this is the measuring stick, 120 ml of green or blue chemical, straight into here, and then it's good to go back into the van. But ask your sites which they prefer you to use, because some sites now want green for their septic tanks so it doesn't harm the environment, but some sites still let you use blue as well. To fill your freshwater system up, you get your hose pipe with some hose pipe connections, as it's mainly just a brass tap provided by the site. Loosen the cap off, hose into there, fill it until it overflows or until you look on your control panel and see how much water you've got on board at any one time. But do carry some connections with your hose, because it's mainly just a brass tap, so you'll need that to connect your hose to the tap. Just below your cassette, behind the back passenger wheel, this is your wastewater outlet. So this is any water that's been collected by going down a plug hole. It's very important that when you leave site, you would drive over the waste disposal point and let the water out. You don't want to be driving around with this, because it's just going to eat weight in your payload, make your engine use more fuel, because you've got more weight that you don't necessarily need to carry, because it is just dirty water. So what you would do is just this little handle, open it up, any water that's in there, there's nothing in there at the moment, would drain out, and then you'll just close it back up. You can leave it open a little bit when travelling, and it's always best to leave it open a little bit when travelling, because the tank's flat. The water in the back might not necessarily drain out. It might need a little bit of rocking as it goes down the road with the calm of the road to drain the water off. In the winter, make sure that this is fully drained off and left open to avoid the water from freezing and causing any damage to your wastewater tank. So this is your gas locker with your LPG sticker on, liquid petroleum gas. And in here you can fit 2 gas bottles. We've got our test bottle on here at the moment to show you your gas appliances working on board. So to put the bottle on, put the bottle in the gas cage, tie it in top and bottom to make sure it's nice and safe and secure and held properly in the gas locker. And then from the regulator, there's this pipe here which goes to the bottle, which is known as the pigtail, and it goes on to the side of the cylinder. And on this particular vehicle, this pigtail that we fitted is a thumb wheel pigtail, so you don't need a spanner. You can just tighten it by hand, nip it up, and then you can turn the cylinder on and off at the top. It's a left hand thread, so it's the opposite ways with it being gas, left to tighten, right to loosen. This is a dual regulator as well, so if you did want to put another bottle on, you would just need to buy yourself another pigtail, connect it to here and pop it onto the bottle, and then when one bottle is empty, you can just turn this lever that way and it'll use that bottle, but at present there's only one on. This will go red when the gas supply is shut off or empty, and it will go white when it's on, making sure that you always knock your gas off before you start travelling. So when you unhook the van and you're going around the locks, making sure everything's locked, turn the cylinder off and lock everything up, and then you're safe to travel. Just it's better to travel with the gas off in case you're involved in any collision. At least the gas supply is isolated. Beside the passenger door, you've got your diesel filler, which opens with the main ignition key. So that opens up, it's lockable, and you can fill with fuel. Tyre pressure is 5 bar on the front, which is 72.3 psi, and 5.5 bar on the back, which is 79.5. Underneath the passenger seat is where all your 12 volt fuses are. So carry some spare pack of 12 volt fuses, which you can get off the likes of Amazon or eBay, and just carry them in the vehicle in case a 12 volt appliance isn't working. It's more than likely going to be a fuse. So you would come here, check which fuse is blown and replenish it with the same amperage of fuse in your electric rock unit underneath the passenger seat. Engine batteries underneath this compartment in the floor. It's not underneath the bonnet, it lives in the cab floor on a Ducato. So If you ever need to change it or you want to put a charger on it, just lift this panel up and you'll be able to get the top of the battery from here. Bonnet release on the side of the dashboard. And underneath the bonnet, you've got all your fluids this side. So you've got your coolant, brake fluid, power steering fluid, but the main one you're going to need is your screen wash, which is at the back here. Your engine oil and your engine oil dipstick. You've got your weight plate sticker, your paint code sticker, sticker to say it's had its timing belt done. And then if you ever need to jump start it, because the battery's underneath the cab floor, this is an earth, so your black clip would go on there, so just give that a good scrub to get a good earth on this nut, and that is your positive here for your red one, which is normally covered by the cap, and that's located next to your air filter. To lock your habitation door, you just push this catch in here, and then that is locked from the inside, and then when you're ready to open, just pull the handle and you'll be able to open the hab door. So to operate your 12 volt control panel, you turn on the 12 volt by pressing once, and then you'll be able to use the buttons in the middle and it'll display. So starting off with the bottom line, you've got your battery at the front, which is your engine battery reading, so it's telling you there the ampage of the engine battery. Battery at the back, it's telling you the ampage of the leisure battery, but note when you hooked up it gives a false reading, so unhook the vehicle to get a true reflection of the battery. On here you've got your fresh water reading, so fresh one side, waste the other. Waste there's nothing in, fresh there's probably around 25% of water in at the moment, which will drain down because we're experiencing cold temperatures at the moment. This switch here, you've got the internal temperature of 26 degrees and the outside temperature of 1 degree. So to operate your heating system, which is a Truma Combi E system, and the last owners of the van have put a handy guide here, so if you ever get stuck you can go to this. It's very easy to use, but I'll show you. So this is the system off on the O, when the outer ring is on the O. You've got two settings above, which is your hot water only, so 60 degrees and 40 degrees of hot water only. Off on the O, the gas flame is heating on its own, and this is where the 1 to 5 comes in. 5 is equivalent to 30 degrees of room temperature, so you can adjust that to set your temperature of the vehicle. And then at the bottom you've got heating and hot water at 60 degrees, so if you're away and you wanted the heating and hot water on, just turn it to this one, which is probably what you want. However, in the summer you may not want the heating on at all and you might just want the hot water, so you would use the top two sources. Now choosing what energy source you're going to run what you've chose here, heating and hot water. So you've got two wiggly lines, which is 1800 watts of mains 230 volt hookup. One wiggly line, which is 900 watts of mains hookup. Gas on its own, which you'd use if you were wild camping. You'd use gas because you'd have no electric to use, because you'd be parked up in a field or just off the road. And then you do have mixture 1, which is gas plus 900 watts of electric, or gas plus 1800 watts of electric. So mix 2 you'd use in the winter to get the vehicle warm, first 20 minutes or so, put on both sources. Then to continue and to maintain the heat, you turn it off the gas because you don't want to waste that, and you'd put that on to 1800 watts of mains electric. And when it indicates red, or green should I say, green means it's on, red means you've got a fault, so whether that be the gas run out or you're not hooked up. But to eliminate the fault, turn it off, let it flash a few times until it goes completely out, and then you can turn it back on. And you may have to do this a few times, but orange means So if I put it on and you get the orange light, orange means that it's in the heating up phase and the warm water, which tells you all here how to operate the Truma Combi 4E and 6E system. In the kitchen, you've got 3 gas burner hobs, but you will need a clicker or a gas match, and you'll be able to light all 3 gas rings. Once you've had them on, if you do, just turn them off and allow them to cool before you put the hob glass lid down, otherwise you will smash the glass with the heat if it's too hot. So to operate your oven, starting off with your grill, there you are, you've got your grill on. Hold it in for a couple seconds longer to warm the thermocouple, then release. And it's warm, and then below you've got your oven. You may want to take your oven shelves and grill pan out when travelling, and if you ever need any parts for this oven, your model number of your oven is on here. You will need to quote that to us or anyone else when ordering parts for your Fitfit oven. Above, you've got 4 gas isolation valves. Any problems with gas, we can't stress enough, turn the bottle off. This will stop the source of gas. However, if you're not able to do that as you're wild camping and you don't want to ruin your holiday, you can isolate each individual appliance here, but this is mainly for when the vehicle is annually habitation serviced. So you've got your oven, you've got your hob, you've got your fridge, and you've got your boiler. To close one off, you just turn it like so. That's shut, they're open, but make sure that you haven't knocked these. If you can't get gas through to each appliance, make sure these are on.
Later on.
Above, you've got your sink. So there's a micro switch in the tap, making sure that you've got enough water on board first. You turn this on and you've got a flow of hot and cold water there. So your pump's working and it's pressurising up. So on this vehicle, you've got a separate freezer compartment to your fridge, but the controls are in the middle of both fridge and freezer. So to turn it on and off, you'd press here and press the left hand side of the switch. Press and hold and you'll turn the fridge off. When you turn it off, when you're not using it, it's best that you push these catches in and these toggles come out. And what that does is it stops the door from shutting on itself. So it still locks in, but as you can see there, I can get my fingers right the way down the seal, which allows air to circulate in the fridge and the freezer to stop smells from occurring and mold from forming in the fridge freezer. So always make sure you clean it out and leave the doors ajar. Otherwise you will get a funny smell in your motorhome. But when you're using it, make sure they're in, turn it on. ES, automatic energy selection, so it should be EAS, but on here the A has disappeared, so it says ES and then it comes up with 30, 230, that is electric. So as the vehicle's hooked up, it will pick up the best source available, and it always will pick up mains electric first. So the vehicle at the moment's hooked up, it's on 230, it's going to work like a household fridge. So you'd use that on a site or a few days before, hook the vehicle up on the driveway, helps charge your leisure battery, turn your fridge on, gets down to temperature, put your shopping in the night before, and then when you're ready on automatic energy selection, it'll do it all for you. You don't have to touch the mode button. Turn the engine on, it'll go on to 12 volt. 12 volt isn't off the leisure battery, it's off the vehicle when the vehicle is running. And it's designed to be like a travel mode, so it acts like a giant cool box until you get back to your site or your first site, hook up, goes back to mains 230 or gas. It'll go on to gas if you're wild camping. However, it does wait 20 minutes before lighting on gas when the engine's knocked off. This is a safety feature by Dometic in case you forgot to isolate your gas bottle and you've pulled into a petrol station for diesel. The last thing you want is it to be sparking where there's naked fumes of petrol. So it waits 20 minutes when the engine is knocked off before it lights on gas. In this situation, all you need to do is press mode and take it off energy selection. That's 230. That's 12 volt, which it hasn't got, and that's gas. So you turn it on to gas and it'll self-ignite because it will override this feature on automatic energy selection. However, leaving it on automatic energy selection, it'll do it all for you. And if you do need gas, you just got to turn it off, over to gas. Temperature, so have it on 5 when pre-chilling. When you put your shopping in, turn it down to 2 or 3 as it sometimes can be too strong and freeze the fridge and there'll be ice forming on the fins here. Pressing this button stops the door, puts a bit of heat around the seals there, stops the seals from sticking on this by allowing a bit of hot air here and here just to stop condensation and ice from forming, which sticks the doors. And like I say, when you're not using it, press and hold, turn it off, clean it out and leave your doors open by pushing these in and pulling them out. So in the wardrobe, directly next to the fridge, you've got your ladder for your drop-down bed. You've also got in the back here your mains RCD unit. So this is your main 240 unit. So if you don't think you're receiving power, the best way to check is tripping the vehicle. If the main RCD trips, you've got power. If it doesn't, you're not receiving power. So if you're hooked up, check where your lead's connected to, because you're not receiving power through your hookup lead. And then you've got your MCBs for your fridge, your charge and your lights, and your power points here. So if they've tripped down, just pop them back up. But if you have tripped the vehicle, always check in the wardrobe first before you check your sight, because you may have to get your sight warden to check the post. So always check the motorhome first in case it is the motorhome that's tripped out. But normally it's more than likely going to be the sight. Now in the cupboard above your fridge freezer, this vehicle is fitted with a satellite system. So it's a max view satellite. So you've got to turn the box on here first, which then gives power to the wireless satellite control panel that's above the door, which I'll show you in a moment. And this is your Freeview box. So you've got to work your Freeview box to get your Freeview channels on your satellite. And also when we're in here, you've got 2 fuses for your solar panel, and they're 10 amp solar panel fuses. So going just above here, this is your solar panel wireless, your satellite system wireless control box. So to put the satellite system up, you press here, and if you listen, you'll hear it whizzing round on the roof. So that's how you put it up. This is how you change satellites, but you want it on Astro 2.8, but it says Astro 28, which you'll get in this country, France, and then as you start going down to Spain and Portugal, if you ever take this abroad, you will have to change your satellite to a satellite that they pick up out there. But in this country, in France, you're fine with Astro 28. And then when you come to put the dish down, you just press here. But at the moment, it's searching and whizzing around for the satellite in the sky. And then it'll lock on. And once it's locked on, it's found the satellite. So sat found there, so it's locked on. So now what you can do is you can use the TV. There's a little magic eye here, so point your remote to that, and that'll use the Freeview box in the cupboard without you having to stand at the cupboard. So you would turn your telly on with your auto sound remote, as it's an auto sound TV, and then it'll be wired to a source to use the TV. So SCART, so it's got a SCART lead in, so make sure it's on SCART and you'll be able to use your satellite, which you can see there. So you've got your volume, you can go up and down, and you've got all your satellite channels. If you ever need to retune it, so you can see Astro 28.2, you just need to press menu on the remote, go down to auto scan, make sure that if you've changed the satellite on the receiver box, if you're abroad, you've changed it on here, otherwise they've got to marry up, otherwise you'll not find a satellite. And then you just scroll down and do a search, and it'll find as many channels as it can on satellite. But a satellite's far better than an aerial because it has a better range to find the signal band. But that's how you'd use your MaxView satellite system with your Freeview box on your AutoSound TV via the SCART lead. So underneath your forward facing double seat in your dinette, you've got your water tank. So you fill from the outside, fills this tank, but to drain it off, there's a lever here. You need to lift that lever to plug and pull it out, and that will drain off your fresh water tank. If you've taken on a source of contaminated water, you're not using the vehicle for a while, or you're winterizing it, where you want to ensure that all the water is drained from the vehicle so nothing can freeze. And this is a tank that you'd also want to drain down with your fresh, your waste and your boiler, and leave all your taps open within the van to stop any airlocks or water in any pipelines. So now in the washroom, to operate the toilet, what you need to do is make sure that you've got enough water in your freshwater tank first. You'll be able to press that blue button at the back here, which is your flush. So press, you'll get a flush. Always put a small amount of water in the toilet before you use it, as it helps lubricate the seal between the top of the toilet and the cassette. And then before you start to use the toilet, you want to open the blade, which is the grey lever here. So slide that to the right, everything goes into the cassette, flush after use, and then shut the blade. Blue or green into the cassette, which I've spoke about outside. If you've bought the pink as well, the pink can't go into the flush system because the flush system is fed by the freshwater tank. However, what you can do is you can put a small amount of pink in an empty spray bottle, dilute it with water, spray the bowl and flush at the same time, and it does the same job. It'll clean the bowl and it'll give a fragrant smell in the washroom. Once the cassette is full, this little red light will appear here, which means that the cassette's full and it's time to empty it, rinse it and replenish it with chemical. Washroom lights here, toiletry cabinet, you've got your just allowing the air out the system as it's being drained down. Once you get a pressurised flow, this is what will happen when you put water back into the boiler. And then once you get a pressurised flow like this, your boiler system is filled. And as you can see there, that water is warm. That's hot water coming through now, so your heating system and your boiler is working as it should. Now to make the shower room. So the shower room, you press here and slide this back, and this will come right the way around to here. And you might think, well, how's that going to hold there? Because it's just going to come back to you. On the door, you've got this little door. turn the turnbuckle and push that up against there, and now shut the door, and that holds the shower screen back. You've now got a shower area with a shower head, making sure when you winterize you just unscrew that head from the hose. As the hose is upright, any water could sit in this pipe, lie the hose down in the shower tray, and then when you put it away, just make sure that it's all tied back before travelling so that it doesn't start flapping about and causing noise when on the road. And that's clipped back like so. So to make the double dinette into a bed using the table, what you've got to do is lift the table to about 90 degrees and the table will lift off. You want to fold the leg, so press the button and half the leg. Then there's a lower bar on the bottom that the table's got to connect to, and it's best that you lift one of these cushions up out the way so that you've got enough space to hook it onto the bar and push down. So that is the table onto the bar. That's filled the void in space between the table and the dinette. So now on both outer edges of the dinette seats, you've got extensions. So if you lift this up, that'll open up and you'll slide this bar out. So this is a wooden board. You need to push that so it sits just before the bit of wood here that keeps that held up, and do that on the front one and the one behind me so that you get just a little bit slightly extra on the bed width. And just before we go any further, you've put your extensions out on both sides. You need to pull the table out. So the table, once it's clipped onto the bottom bar properly, you'll be able to pull forward. And then this normally lies here with a clip on. Pop that in with the dowel end towards the table, and then push it back, and it'll give you a little bit extra so that the table now comes as far out as the extensions, and then you'll be able to sort the cushions out, which will show you how the cushions go. So this is how the double dinette would make a double bed. So your base cushions come forward and fill the space over the table. The hard backed backrests would go into the voids at the back. Thinner end towards the base cushions, fatter ends towards the back, so you've got a bit of a slope on both sides. On the extensions, you'd put the big thick cushions there, which marry up to the backrest. Again, fat end at the back, thin end at the front. Two infill cushions, and you can take the upper support off, or you can lower it down as a headboard one side and leave one side off, depending on which side you want to sleep on. But that would be how you'd make the Globe 4 Dethleffs double dinette bed up. In the cupboard underneath your wardrobe is the location of where your Truma boiler lives. So your boiler does two jobs: heats the vehicle and also heats the water. It's very important that you drain the water out when you're not using it, and to do so you've got an anti-frost valve. So at 3 degrees this will automatically open, and there's a little button on the back here which pops out. But never fully rely on this valve in case it ever does become faulty. So the best way of manually draining it yourself is turning the diamond. So turn the diamond on the top, the blue one, little nib will come out, so it's now got a nib in, and you'll see that there's a button here. So if you just catch the light right, you'll see the little button at the bottom there where my finger is. That will drain out the 10 litres of water in the boiler. Open the fresh and the waste now, and open all the taps within the vehicle. When you come to reuse it, before you even think about putting water in, shut the valve. So turn the diamond, push the button in. That's now shut. Put the plug back in the fresh, close all the taps, fill the van with water. Control panel on, open the tap, you'll get a pressurised flow of cold water. Hot side, it'll cough and splutter until you get a pressurised flow. Once you get a pressurised flow from one tap, do them all. Once they're all pressurised, the boiler is filled with water. Because what happens is it transfers the water from the freshwater tank into here, so that's why you're getting all the air until this is full. But make sure this is open in the winter to avoid the water from staying in here and freezing. If you are using it in the winter for the odd weekend and you've drained it down and you can't get the button to stay in, best thing to do is a little top tip here is put the heating on first without the water. This gets really hot in here and you'll be able to just push the button in. So another double bed is above the dinette. So what you need to do is take the safety belt off and pull the bed down. There's a ladder in the wardrobe which clips on here, and this is your double drop down bed. If you're putting children in there, you've got safety nets which clip on to these toggles here, front and back, so to stop them rolling out. And you do have a spare ladder, so the spare ladder under here is for here. The one in the wardrobe is for the back top double bed. When you're storing it in the winter, take your duvets off and things and leave it down. It's best that you leave it down a little bit so it gets circulation round the mattress so that you don't get any mildew forming on the mattress.